What's going on, boxing fans? It's your boy Jay with Ashy Knuckles Boxing. Uh, Now I would like to talk about two upcoming fights on the horizon. One is Missing in Action Jackson, aka Joan Guzman. Y'all may know him as Lil Tyson, against Ali Funeka, who recently went 12 rounds with Nate Campbell in his failure to make the lightweight limit in defense of his unified titles. Joan Guzman, a lot of people still don't know who Joan Guzman is. And I remember Joan Guzman from a long time ago when he made, I think it was a WBO eliminator against Fabio Oliva, and it took place in London, if I'm not mistaken. And in that fight, he really put on a display of beautiful combinations, extremely fast hands, probably some of the best reflexes I've seen in this game. Very similar to Roy Jones, but at the lower weights. And Joan Guzman, he'll stand there. He would stand there in the pocket. He wouldn't use his natural reflexes just to move away from it. He just used it to avoid the big punches from his opponents. And of course, in that fight, he blew out Oliva, in spectacular fashion. But since that particular fight, if you really didn't watch Telefutura, which is a Spanish television network, I hope I said that right for all my Latinos who tune in. But if you didn't watch Telefutura, you probably weren't going to see Joan Guzman, because that's where he made pretty much his rise up the super bantamweight division. And he was very unheralded. A lot of the writers never really give him the credit he was supposed to get at 122 pounds, as he continued to make attempts to lure Manny Pacquiao into a unification fight, which fell on deaf ears, as Manny Pacquiao would go up in weight to fight a bigger name opponent and a legend in Marco Barrera. And also Joan Guzman wanted to fight Barrera too, but he didn't get that fight either. But Joan Guzman really made a name for himself in the boxing world to the hardcore boxing fans is when he blew out Agapito Sanchez. Now, Agapito Sanchez had a really, really rough fight with Manny Pacquiao. And in that fight, Manny wasn't Manny. He didn't have a Manny-esque performance in that fight. And part of it is because Agapito Sanchez, his style isn't to box. He's balls to the wall in your chest. Solid infighter. And you think Timothy Bradley knows how to use his head, then Agapito Sanchez is a guy y'all need to search for, because he's rough and tough. Use elbows, low blows. He's a dirty fighter, but y'all know my take on being dirty. It's not dirty unless you get caught. Bernard Hopkins is a dirty fighter. He went years hitting guys in the hip, elbowing guys, using, when the guys are in the clinch and the dude's head is right here, Bernard uses shoulder to hit him in the face with a shoulder. Just dirty. A lot of that is just mind games to get you out of your game plan. When you out of your game plan and you let anger set in, you begin to take big shots, big swings from afar, and if you overcommit, you're going to get countered and possibly knocked out. And that's what it's all about. Psyching out your opponent, preparing for his next move. But anyway, Joan Guzman and Agapito Sanchez. Joan Guzman came out of the crouch in his, attempts to engage Agapito Sanchez, and just blew him out totally. Made the former champion look really, really, really bad. And since then, he will continue to go up division by division, calling out Manny Pacquiao, calling out Barrera. He never called out Morales, though, but he wanted Pacquiao or Barrera. Those were the names that he really, really wanted the most. He will go up to 26. Maybe, I think he fought like once or twice there. Once against Joe Morales, who's from San Antonio. Joe was a journeyman, but Joe come to fight, so that was a really good fight. And he went up to 130. He would fight Jorge Barrios, who's a very tough guy. He would fight Humberto Soto, and that's one of my guys. Humberto Soto is nothing to be played with. That guy has skills, and he would beat Soto. He also beat some other former champions, but since then his career has basically gone nowhere. I mean, he hadn't had a high profile promoter, and then he had an opportunity to fight under Saquon uh, promotional banner, and they really didn't really do a good job moving him either. As far as trainers, he was with Don House at one time, and then he went to Mayweather Sr. I really don't know who's training him at this time. So his career has not taken the path of a superstar. I mean, most guys who are into the promotional game on TV a lot, they really have an easy time going up the ranks as long as they're winning. It hasn't been the same for him, because if you look at his record, he's still undefeated. He's still blowing guys out. And he had an opportunity to fight for a lightweight title, which would have been maybe his fourth world title in the four divisions. I'm not sure. I don't have the stats with me. And he couldn't make weight. And for the last couple of years, he's just been fighting once a year. Well, now he's back. He signed a promotional contract with Golden Boy. And Golden Boy don't play when it comes to putting you out there with opponents. They put you out there with somebody. They don't sugarcoat you. So he's fighting Ali Funeka, and Funeka's a tough guy. He just made a name for going 12 hard with Nate, and he's a very solid lightweight. He's well conditioned, very strong, and very tall. I think that's going to be an explosive fight. The winner will have the vacant IBF title and possibly face some of the bigger names at lightweight in the future, like Juan Diaz or Casamayor if he's still fighting. Juan Manuel Marquez if it decides to come back down in weight after fighting Floyd. So, Joan Guzman has an opportunity to answer a lot of questions that are out there about him, whether he's gonna be able to resurrect his career and possibly be a force to be reckoned with. Build up enough of a name where the public will cry out to see him fight, the mega superstars of the game, because he's not just a super skilled fighter. He's a very skilled fighter. Fast hands, fluid combinations, excellent reflexes. His defense has improved tremendously, and early in his career he was all in your chest trying to make a good fight out of it, and that's because his trainers told him to. But he's actually a guy who boxes on the move. He's a finesse boxer, but he just happens to have a pretty decent punch. Now, he happens to be with Golden Boy, so I think he has the possibility of resurrecting his career, getting it back in order. He has very little wear and tear on him, so there may be a couple of extra years of shelf life for Joan Guzman, as he is 30 plus years old. He has a very exciting, crowd-pleasing fighting style, and if he happens to get past Funeka, which is no easy task whatsoever, then he could possibly lure some of these big names into a fight, like Manny Pacquiao, or maybe Juan Diaz too, or Casamayor, or even Edwin Valero, as he is making a name for himself within the lightweight division. The lightweight division is starting to look pretty doggone good. And I think that Humberto Soto may move up to lightweight too, because he is rumored to be facing Edwin Valero next, and that should even be explosive. So, being that the fact that Valero and Guzman are very good fighters and they're both undefeated, if they happen to win, their respective matchups, who's to say that they won't be meeting each other down the line in the lightweight division for unification? And that in itself would just be explosive. That has the makers to being one of the best fights that we could see in this era. But I don't want to blow it up too much. You know how we just blew up the Bradley and Campbell fight, and we see how that happened, how that unfolded. So anyway, this pretty much wraps up my time for this particular fight. Stay tuned for the second half. Peace.